Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Craig Burley here in the studio with us. Shaka, Hislop as well. Shaka, you had some issues with one of your daughters making a lot of noise during the show. Have you sorted that issue out?
I've tried. I make no promises.
What was she doing?
Banging around looking for food. All these kids do is eat all day long. They do nothing else but eat. I don't know why they need all that energy, because they don't do anything.
Energy to eat some more.
I wonder how they take that after.
Yeah, exactly. Eat and sleep. Who does that remind us of, Shaq?
Stevie Nicol.
Yeah, that's true. Craig, would you have enjoyed playing against Neymar, taking in consideration that the game was refereed in a different way during your career? Is this suggesting you would have kicked him a lot?
I wouldn't say it was refereed that much differently.
Yeah.
I mean, not in the late 90s and early 2000s, but would have enjoyed playing against him? I mean, you always like to play against as bad a player as you can, because it means you're going to have an easier game. But yeah, I don't think I would have been I wouldn't have, as a midfielder, I probably wouldn't have been up against him.
Yeah.
But no, I would prefer to play against him than Mbappe.
Sure.
Because of the pace.
Yeah.
Just the pace. Pace is a killer for anybody who doesn't have it.
This takes us on nicely. That's just the next question. And what would you say was your best attribute as a player, and what was the worst, or to put it more politely, that you needed a good amount of work? Shaka, we start with you. Your best attribute as a goalkeeper?
Ooh,
picking the ball out the back of the net.
Yeah, I was good at that. I was technically pretty sound.
What does that mean?
That makes sense. That's my best. That means that technique-wise, I think I was good, which is why I kind of played for as long as it did. The worst aspect of my game was probably my kicking, but then kicking on my day is not what it was in today's game.
What about you, Craig?
All we have to do is launch it.
What's your best attribute, Craig?
I'd say worst attribute was my change of pace, which I had to work on.
Yeah.
My best attribute when I was playing at my best, round about 96 to 2000, was my timing of my runs into the box.
Okay. Why are you doing like a Bond villain thing with your finger on your lips? What are you doing?
Nothing. I could pass the ball. I was all right with that. My left foot wasn't the strongest, but I really, particularly at Celtic, when I was having a lot of success there, was timing my runs off Henrik Larsson, because that's very important for a midfielder. You got time your runs, the chances are you'll get your goals.
You say you try to work on your pace. How do you do that?
Well, you try and run as fast as you can every day in training. No, you try and work. Sometimes you put a weight vest on.
Right. Stevie Nicol.
Yeah.
Going on your shoulders.
Other times you would work with a sprint coach about your reaction. You know, maybe we'd be dropping tennis balls and then you'd be reacting. So, but that first, I'm not saying run the length of a pitch. I'm saying you're working on the sprint training is 5, 6, 7 or 8 yards. So it's that initial burst. We see it with Pulisic. We see it with we did see it with Eden Hazard when he was fit. Was that initial? You see it with like Sadio Mane at Liverpool, and there are many others. It's that initial 3 or 4 yards to take you away from defender buys you a bit of time. A lot of people, myself included, struggle with that.
Brazilian Ronaldo had that as well, didn't he? He had that kind of pace over 3 or 4 yards, would just take him away from
until
defense.
he put a few pounds on.
Well,
Messi's got it.
Yes.
Or Messi had it more than he has at the moment.
After Giroud has scored 2 goals against Sevilla so far, in fact it was 4 goals after this tweet was sent, and 1 in the Champions League last week. Why doesn't Lampard start him over Abraham in the league, Shaka?
Listen, Giroud is absolutely fantastic today. There's no denying that. But Abraham and Werner have a really good understanding together, and the team's winning, you know, and the old cliche which y'all were giving me a hard time for during the show is you can't change a winning team.
Even one that drew.
So
they drew them against Spurs.
What?
Can't change a you can't change a winning team that draws. Is that what you're saying?
The team is doing well. The team is doing well. They want a point off the top of the table. You stick with the team that got you there.
Yeah, but one thing I would say is the one part of the Chelsea team that was a little below par last week against Tottenham was the attacking side of it.
Quite a bit below par.
Yeah, the defensive aspect was good again. The balance in the midfield, stopping Harry Kane and Tottenham's counter-attack was pretty good because Man City suffered, but they were a little flat up front, and I wonder with that performance tonight whether he was maybe even thinking about it anyway, but that could just have absolutely made his mind up. And Lampard really respects, and he's mentioned it, the professionalism of Giroud, even when he's not playing, and that's great to have.
Shaka, is judging the flight of the ball the hardest skill for a goalkeeper to master? Did you ever make a mistake similar to Onana's yesterday?
It's not the hardest to master per se, but it changes in different stadiums and in different weather conditions, and in particular depending on the ball that you use. So that for me, it's just something you have to get to, and something I would. Whenever you travel, especially out to Europe on the continent, and it was a stadium that you didn't know, So, for instance, depending on how high the sides of the stadium were, the ball would just travel differently. But then you'd get to train on the ground the day before. That is one aspect that I would always work on a lot in the build-up. If you are able to train at the stadium before the game. So. In itself, it's not, but it does vary a lot when you travel as you do play in the Champions League.
If you ever bought yourself a proper pair of goalkeeping gloves, you would find it hard to believe how a goalkeeper ever drops a ball.
Why? Because they just stick?
That's not true.
You could climb up the Empire State Building with them.
That is not true.
Well, you tell.
That's not true, Craig.
No, I know they're sticky, right? True or false?
First of all, you don't like your gloves. You don't want your gloves too sticky because it affects your distribution.
Ooh.
So they ain't that sticky.
Distribution.
Does spitting on them make a difference, Shaq?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
What does it do? Make them stickier or less stickier? What does that do for your distribution?
The latex works better when it's moist. So you either you spit in it or you go to your net and grab a water bottle and you wet it.
Look at this.
It works moist. That's how it's designed.
I do that with my golf glove, I have to be honest.
You spit on your golf club?
I don't want to be too graphic here, but my golf club...
Why are we all of a sudden... Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anyone.
I'm very sorry if you're offended by these comments. I don't condone spitting. But however, my grips... I've played so much golf this year, my grips are a little bit worn out.
Right.
So I have to lubricate my golf glove
by spitting.
But I don't. I find a freshwater stream.
A freshwater stream. Excuse me a moment. Off I go.
Oh, God.
Do a bit of fishing when I'm there as well.
Oh dear. How did you feel, Craig, immediately after the day you retired from professional football?
Well, I didn't know I'd retire. What?
I said hungover.
Just a normal day where I hadn't retired by that point. I didn't know I'd retired.
Derby was your last club?
No.
Who was your last club?
I left Derby because I was struggling with injuries. I retired from the national team. I flapped around at a couple of other clubs. My heart wasn't in it.
Right.
And I wanted to finish. And then the season ended, and I was like, don't know what I'm going to do. And then I got a phone call from a UK broadcaster to go straight into broadcasting.
Right.
So, and the answer to the question is, that's probably the moment when couldn't wait.
Really?
See, I talk to I don't talk to a lot of players, but I hear a lot of ex-players.
They don't talk to you?
I listen to some of them, not many. And they say a lot of the guys, and I know a lot of them, they wanted to play 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, they wanted that.
Because how old were you?
About 33.
Right.
But then I'd had different injuries and stuff, and so, as I say, I couldn't do what I once did when I was playing in the World Cup and doing all that. I just couldn't do it. But these guys were still fit.
Did you play in the World Cup?
These guys were still fit and playing to a high level, and so they wanted to play. But a lot of guys, like Stevie. Stevie went to Doncaster, which is like down the divisions, and he was still loving playing.
Yeah.
I was hating it at that point.
Right.
So everybody's different, and I just couldn't wait to finish. I'd had my time, I couldn't wait. Others want to try and drag it out as much as they can because they enjoy it. I'd lost the enjoyment. When you lose the enjoyment, you don't train as well, you don't play as well. And it's no fun getting up in the morning to go to work, and that's what it was like for me in the end.
What about you, Shaq?
It was tough. I wouldn't say, I know what Craig's saying, but I wouldn't say I lost the enjoyment, but because I enjoyed competing. I enjoyed, challenging some of the younger goalkeepers and trying to keep things going in that way. But I just knew, I knew I couldn't do it as I once did, and I was just falling too far behind the standard I set myself. I knew I was going to retire at the end of that 2007 season with FC Dallas, and then injuries just kept cropping up, and so in the end I had to call it quits a month or two before the end of the regular season with Dallas. And it was tough. As much as I knew it was coming, and as much as I thought it would be over in a couple of months. When I finally, said to Dallas, "Listen, that's it. I can't continue anymore." It was tough. It was really hard, and I remember just having myself a few drinks on my own and consoling myself that way.
Oh dear.
Let's
gone to a fresh river stream.
Yeah, it was.
Let me say one thing. When you're able to go penalty box to penalty box, up and down, back and forward, not being like you see now, Bruno Fernandes today, Man United were playing, attacking midfielder. Scott McTominay and Fred, defensive midfielders. No, both, right? Yeah, we had Paul Lambert, who had just come back from Dortmund, but I still had to do both. And so when you're doing that all game, back box to box, timing your runs, back, and then all of a sudden, when you've had 6 or 7 operations down the line, you're 31, 32, and you're not training 5 days a week because you can only train 2 days a week, sure. And you can't do that anymore to the same standard. And then the crowd start howling at you because you're not doing what they remember and thought you were going to do. It's horrible. I just found it horrible in the end, and I hated it. And maybe if I was given my time again, would I do things differently in terms of how I looked after my body? 100%.
Right.
100%. That was the one thing, the main reason I finished when I did, because our era played hard and partied hard. Yeah. And that was the era back then. And boy, your body suffered by the time you got, most people when you got in your 30s.
Less spitting as well, maybe, with hindsight.
Never ever did that.
That's it. That brings us to the end of today's show. Thank you very much to Shaka and to Craig. We will be back tomorrow for more bit of Europa League action. Tomorrow, Stuart Robson will be joining us. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.